try to get an idea about how long are you storing those products in your Chinese warehouse? How long would?
Well, see, because I'm partnering with my manufacturer, I've got a really good relationship with my manufacturer. Um, I'm keeping my things in the
Where do you see sellers who are not using a tool or a proper tool like this can miss out on?
Yeah, so there's when you look at the reports from Amazon, they're giving you a summary of what's happened for that pay period or what's happened for the period of time that you're looking at. And
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rich Sellers Podcast. Today, I join in by Mark and Kimberly, and today we are going to talk about how to increase profits of your Amazon products. Now, before we start, a quick introduction with our guest today. So, Kimberly, we're going to start with your introduction.
Hi, thank you for having me, Sammy. My name is Kimberly Lock, and I am an Amazon seller with two brands, both in the US and in Australia. I've been selling on Amazon since 2020, and I currently have a YouTube channel where it's my mission to empower, inspire, and educate people who are interested in the Amazon opportunity.
That's great. Mark, a small introduction about yourself.
awesome, yeah. So I started selling on Amazon in 2014. My father got me into it, and he had some great success at the early days of Amazon. So I jumped on board and have been rolling ever since. We created a software for Amazon sellers to be able to see your numbers better, clearer, and be able to take action off of those things, as well as create some automation in there. So yeah, that's managed by Stats, and that was recently joined up with Carbon 6, as you can see on my shirt. Yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, before we go deep into the podcast, uh, obviously, we all know that changes are happening in Amazon, and with all the changes which have recently happened, both with FBA fees, then storage, and all new things that are happening, obviously, sellers are shrinking with their margins. Now, I think, Kimberly, being a seller yourself, you can probably tell us what are the few new changes or updates that have happened recently that is impacting sellers' profitability. Would you like to go with around like two, 3 points on that?
Oh, yeah. So Amazon is an ever-changing landscape, and I think, one of the biggest things right now is really trying to manage your storage and your fees. There's only so much you can do with some of the fees, but making sure that your sell-through is really good, so you're getting the best opportunity you can with your storage, but not using Amazon as a fulfillment, not using them as a warehouse. They're a fulfillment
Hmm.
center. And so really trying to keep those storage fees down, I think, is one of the biggest things you can do and one of the biggest changes that we have the power to do something about.
Yeah, that's good. Mark, do you want to add something to it?
Yeah, I kind of piggybacking off of that. I think there's an element that a lot of newer sellers and even experienced sellers don't quite have all the nitty gritty details of. All the different fees that Amazon applies to each of your orders, to your inventory, to their service fees and whatnot. There's a lot of those details that get lost in the reports that Amazon gives you. And really being able to see a breakdown of what those are per product can really give you clarity on, okay, maybe you're not selling through fast enough on some products. Maybe some products you're having a higher storage fee or higher pick and pack fee, right? So you being able to break down these different types of fees and see which products are the kind of the culprits that are stealing to a little bit more of your profit than you'd like is something that's kind of vital. And there's there's so many different fees that you have to be able to see all of them, and that's where having some kind of a tool that helps you break that down and see that, I think, is vital. Um, Otherwise, you're kind of flying blind a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would completely agree with you on this because we have few clients who are complaining about the storage fees being rising a lot, plus the disposable fees that is also not same when we saw it because it have increased a lot and that is being eaten up by the margins a lot. Also,
Yeah.
they are thinking now that their disposable fees is very high, so they are worried about their stocks that are more than 360 days, and they are reducing the price to just sell out even at a huge losses because their disposable fee is going to eat a lot. So, Kimberly, what I think Amazon have also launched their AWD, Amazon Warehousing and Distribution, a long back. And do you think with this high storage fees, sellers are obviously sending more frequent stocks right now, right? So, what could be one go through way on this, like that seller can use to go along, and that can help them to maximize their profitability to overcome the storage fees?
Yes, that's a big thing that I talk about a lot. I actually work with a company that I call it just-in-time shipping. I haven't worked with the Amazon warehouse myself because I stumbled upon this company, and basically my I don't store my products in a 3PL in the United States anymore. I store them with my manufacturer. So I've just
Mhm.
placed my most recent order, and most of that inventory is going to actually stay at my manufacturer. And so I'm only having to pay the deposit on that. Then the portion of it that I'm sending to the 3PL is actually a 3PL in China. And then
Okay.
based on my sales velocity every week, I'm sending in a small shipment. So that's keeping my storage fees really, really low. And that way I'm just keeping things turning over, and I'm not having to worry about hitting anything that's being sitting in the fulfillment center for, longer than a month or two at most.
Okay. So if we try to get an idea about how long are you storing those products in your Chinese warehouse, how long would it be?
Well, see, because I'm partnering with my manufacturer, I've got a really good relationship with my manufacturer. I'm keeping my things in the 3PL in China for about 2 to 3 months. So I'm kind of dividing my order up and sending it in, thirds to the 3PL there, and then that will take me about 3 months to get through and get sent into Amazon based on my average sales velocity, and that'll go a lot faster as we approach Q4.
Yeah, I think that is good because if we look at US 3PL storage fees, that is also quite high. And if you have a very
Very
good
high.
relation, yeah, and you have and even we have talked with sellers who are using AWD, and they are also telling the same. It is quite same as 3PL services. But you had a good relation with the supplier, and you are saving a lot there, right? And that increases a lot of your profit margins. So I think when you
Yeah.
talk, yeah, yeah, you are telling something.
Yeah, and I think having that relationship with your manufacturer and negotiating those terms as you can every time you place another order, I was able to get extended terms for when I had to pay the final portion when my order shipped, and now
Mhm.
I'm only having to pay that 30% deposit for the goods that are staying in their warehouse. I only pay that balance when it actually ships out. So that's really increasing my cash flow.
Yeah, I think that is spot on. So, moving on from this, when you talk about numbers, right? Because seller needs to know exactly what and how Amazon is deducting and how much they are deducting, right? And when you talk about these numbers, I think having a proper tool to calculate all this is very important. So, Mark, when we talk about
Absolutely.
this, yeah, so I think Mark, you can take
Yeah.
this. So when we talk about different metrics to look at or different charges that Amazon is charging us, so where do you see sellers who are not using a tool or a proper tool like this can miss out on?
Yeah. So there's when you look at the reports from Amazon, they're giving you a summary of what's happened for that pay period or
Mhm.
what's happened for the period of time that you're looking at. And when you do that, you're not getting a breakdown of exactly how all of those fees are applying to each of the different products. So you can get a good idea from those reports of how you're doing overall, right? There's no question about that. But when you really want to break it down and see, okay, which one of your products is maybe accumulating too much fees or has a fee that changed, you can't really do that. It's quite cumbersome to do with downloading all the reports from Amazon. So from all the way back in 2015, we created a software that helps see those exact details broken out by a brand view, product grouping view, all the way down to the individual SKU to see, okay, what's the pick and pack fee? Has that changed? What are the different service fees? What are the FBA shipment fees? All the different fees that you might have that are associated with it. I think we counted it up one time. It was like 15 or 20 different types of fees that can be applied to a product. And if you don't know what those are and see how they're breaking down, you're kind of just whistling past the graveyard, right? You're hoping that you're going to get a good amount of sales that will account for those for all those fees and kind of make up for that and make enough profit. But at the end of the day, Amazon's winning, right? They're taking that little fee, they're taking the advertising fee, all of these different little things they're taking. And if you don't know what those are and see how they're broken out by product, you could likely have one product or multiple products that are eating into that way too much. And it gives you a good benchmark. You can go, okay, I know that this is the product or group of products that's eating up too much profits. What exactly is it that's taking away from my profits? You can find that exact thing, find that exact fee. Maybe it's a pick and pack fee, right? Maybe your dimensions were changed. Or if you shave your dimensions by a half an inch, you can get into a lower pick and pack fee, right? So having these kind of this breakdown will help you then go, okay, I need to make some change in my product here, or my advertising is eating up too much of my profits, right? You can kind of think with this now on a per product basis, and then be able to take action on that.
Yeah, I think this is very important because we have seen sellers, especially when we talk about all this margin calculation during launch phase, when sellers have their price set at mostly at negative, and when we have all these fees that are coming in, and calculating the fees is very important for them, because in the launch, especially when you're in the launch phase, not only in the launch, afterwards as well, but in the launch when sellers are losing money, it is very important to know their numbers properly. And I think using a tool can really help a seller to solve all these issues that are coming, because knowing your number is something which should be on top of the list when you're selling on Amazon.
Yeah, you really have to have a long-term plan in place. Like when you get started on Amazon, not everyone talks about this, right? If you are first getting started and you're like, okay, I'm a beginning seller, I don't need some of these more advanced tools or more advanced things, it's the wrong mindset. Because if you think with, okay, how can I plan for becoming a big seller, you're going to have to be looking at the metrics and the details that a experienced or large seller is looking at, and you have to do that from the get-go. Otherwise, your first year of selling, you're selling at a loss when you could actually be getting a higher profit amount, even though, yeah, you are maybe breaking even or pushing for rank and spending more money than you're making. But you can do it in a smarter manner and recoup more profits, be able to reorder bigger and bigger each time, and not lose at the Amazon game. Um, so having that mindset from the beginning of like, okay, what are the key metrics that a very experienced seller would be looking at, and how do I apply those to my business? How do I incorporate those into how I'm thinking with when I'm doing a launch or when I'm tracking keywords, when I'm spending money on ads? How do I do that in a smart manner that's not going to kind of be a rookie mistake?
Yeah, 100%. I would agree on that. So, so far we talked about storage fees, how to overcome that by sending frequent shipments, then how to use your supplier's advantage and store at your supplier's place to get some more profits. Now, let's move on a little bit. So, now let's talk about Amazon, the options that Amazon provides us, because what we have seen, sellers to increase their profit margins, cross selling is really important. But when we talk about ads, especially Amazon display ads, they have the option where we can retarget our past purchases, but that is limited to that particular product. But when you look at DSP, obviously DSP attracts a lot more higher ad spend. If someone is buying product A, we can show them product B, which is not in the case of display ads. But let's talk about sellers and Amazon itself. Like, what are the options Amazon provides in terms of crossing? Like, we have seen a premium A plus content Amazon is offering to sellers right now, and there we have the opportunity to showcase our other products in terms of comparison chart. I think Kimberly, you can share a little bit insight on this, like what all options a seller can use to showcase their other products.
Oh, I think you hit it exactly right there with the comparison charts. Making sure that you're using everything that's available to you in your toolkit. Your A plus content. You're making sure you've got a really great storefront. You're putting videos on your storefront, and if you've got that premium A plus, you're putting videos in that as well. And then something that they've released not that long ago that I don't think a lot of sellers are really taking advantage of yet is the brand story. And that's a fantastic carousel that goes on your listing that really can communicate a lot of information about your brand, different products in your brand suite, and just really kind of help cross sell through that. And I'm a big fan of videos and user generated content and using those as much as I can in my listing and adding them to my listing, as well as using them for advertising. Because I find that they're really highly converting. And in a lot of niches, they don't cost as much as some of the other ads.
Yeah, I think you have shared the right points here. Obviously, as you have shared brand story, I think that is a great add-on that Amazon have given, because there we get shoppable images, right? They can click on those images and get to the product page itself. And I think that is an opportunity sellers, customers can add more products to their cart and increase the average order value. And I think that can increase the
Yeah.
profit margins
There's
as well. So
absolutely. One thing, if I can comment on that,
yeah.
there's one thing that's kind of interesting. Over the years, Amazon is evolving and trying to incorporate more and more of these marketing
Mhm.
methods that, of course, have been out there, right? Google, Facebook, all these other experience platforms have all these different marketing types, marketing methods, ways of doing marketing, and Amazon is slowly but surely adding these avenues into their own platform, which is super awesome for the seller because they can actually take advantage of this, right? Like the concept of marketing to your own guys, your own customers. They actually have ways of doing that now inside of the brand registry program, right? And a lot of sellers, I think it behooves a seller to learn the different marketing routes from the get go, or to know what they are, because then you can take advantage of them when you're ready for that point, right? If you don't have brand registry, okay, you're applying for brand registry, you get it. There's a fast track system for that inside of Amazon. And then how do you take advantage of that? Can you do that A plus content? Can you do those brand videos? So learning all those different marketing types and seeing what they all are, not just what's inside Amazon, but what else is out there. If you look at like Shopify or these other areas, they have their own marketing routes and their own ways of doing marketing. Find out what those are, and dip your toe into those things. And sure enough, you're going to see Amazon is incorporating more and more of those methods into their own system.
Yeah, I would quite agree with
And
you,
and
because I
and
think, yeah, Kimberly.
sorry, and something else too that is along the same lines is, that social media esque type platform that Amazon offers that's free are the Amazon posts. And I literally put a post up in advance of Mother's Day, and I saw my conversion rate double just with one post. So that is an opportunity that it's free. You would be crazy not to use it. And now with Amazon making this partnership with Pinterest, I'm really excited about the things that are going to be able to happen with that going forward.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you about the same thing about Amazon Post, because a lot of sellers are using it, even Amazon Post, Amazon Live. How are you finding it helpful for your brands?
Oh, I find it incredibly helpful. It's so quick and simple to do. You can do a batch. I use Canva to do a lot of my graphics because it's just too easy to use, and I can do a big batch of images, put that up and schedule it in advance, just like I would schedule, Instagram posts or Facebook posts. And I can, set it up for a week or two in advance. And the platform shows you, your impressions and the click-throughs, and just the data that comes off of that is so powerful. And it lets you know just really quickly what images are really converting and resonating with your audience. And, I didn't even when I first started out, I wasn't even trying with it, and I ended up, without doing anything, with 80 followers in a very short amount of time, for my Amazon posts.
Yeah, that is great.
That's awesome.
So now moving on, Mark, I think you can take this when we talk about margins, right? Especially pricing strategies differ a lot, especially when you're talking about launch and then post launch. So what would be your few opinions on this? Because sellers gets confused on when they should increase their price, because increasing the price is the first thing that they can do to increase their profitability. Where sellers miss out on increasing their prices, because what we have seen is they may increase the price before time, and that may hurt their ranking, or they may increase later on, which they are losing on their profit margins. What would be your point on this?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different concepts that I've done and agreed with or disagreed with over the years. I think it really comes down to the data, in my opinion. And obviously, okay, coming from someone who has a software who's analyzing data, okay, you know, I got that. But at the same time, I do think it does come down to the data. If you're doing a launch and you want to increase the conversion rate or you want to increase the volume, you have to look at all the numbers. You have to look at, okay, do you have enough reviews? Do you have enough social proof where you can comfortably raise the price? How are your other competitors doing on the page that you're on? If you're on page 4 and let's say you're in the middle of page 4 and the most of the other products on page 4
Mhm.
are all lower than you can't really raise your price, right? You're gonna lose positioning, right? So you have to think with kind of all the different metrics in mind. And it kind of swings full circle to, if you're stocking out, okay, do you increase your price or try to make as much profit as you can before you stock out? Are you going to be stocked out for a long time, right? So there's a whole bunch of different factors that come into play. But I would say really looking at, there's about 15 different metrics you want to be kind of analyzing when you're doing a launch. And looking at those as a whole will help you see, okay, yeah, I'm comfortable with increasing my price now, or I need to hold off. I need to, scrape my margins a little bit more to be able to get that ranking to where I need to go. It ties into other aspects, right? There's not just one. Each section of Amazon is connected, right? So if you're doing a launch, you have that 45-day grace period from Amazon, but you'll lose that, right? So you'll lose that extra boost that they give you. How are you ranking on keywords? Are you advertising on those keywords? Are you SEO'd for those keywords, right? So there's a whole bunch of different things that all tie together. And you have to look at those. You have to kind of gauge all of those different factors and just make a comfortable decision of, okay, yeah, I have enough reviews, I have enough credits, I have enough ranking on certain keywords where I can raise my price now comfortably, maybe $1, over time, and get to a point where you're actually making the right amount of money, right? You got to also look at, it kind of goes full swing to looking at what people call tacos, right?
Yeah.
Your total ACOS or true ACOS. How is your product performing with taking into account all the advertising and all the other stuff that you're doing? Are you making enough money based off of that, right? So you kind of have to look at everything.
Yeah, I think that was a really great explanation. Kimberly, do you want to add something to it?
No, I completely agree. I'm a big person of looking at the data, and the keywords especially are really important. I'm big on listing optimization. That's one of the things that I'm really known for in my past, and making sure that you're going for those keywords that, especially when you're launching, those keywords that maybe aren't like are the more long tail keywords that are super, super specific. So you can really increase your conversion rate and then help your organic ranking.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would
Spot.
completely agree with both of you guys, especially at the point of where we're comparing with other sellers as well, right? So I think there is a report called Category Benchmark Report, which we found really helpful in this. Obviously, Search Query Performance Dashboard also gives the kind of same data. So in that, Amazon divides the top competitors in peer, top peer competitor, then medium tier peer, then bottom peer, and it also gives that what are the numbers of the top peer competitors, what are their A costs, what is their CTR. Then it also shows you what you are getting, so you can compare where you are lying, like whether you're at the top, whether you're at the bottom, or at the middle, and you can work on your listing, you can optimize it more, and then you can, so if you're at the bottom, you can come to the top. I think that is a report that is available along with search query performance, where you can get real-time data about conversion rate, your competitors' conversion rate, how much market share you are taking versus what is available. So I think these are a few things that Amazon gives, or are giving right now to sellers, because what we think is Amazon is become a little bit insecure with their data, and it is giving away to sellers right now. So, guys, I think it was
Yeah.
a quite good discussion today. We are past, I think, 24, 25 minutes. So, before we end, where can people find you, Mark? Do you want to tell people?
Yeah, managedbystats.com. We have that's our regular website. You can also find us on carbon6.io. So we're in a group of we're kind of in a ecosystem of tools that are inside of Carbon Six. A whole bunch of different tools that are all tied together. And but yeah, managedbystats.com or carbon6.io.
That's great. Kimberly, where can people find you?
Yep. So I've got my YouTube channel on that I'm doing weekly videos, and you can also find me at amzunlocked.com.
That's great. I will add all the links in the description. Thank you so much, guys, for joining today. I think it was a very valuable session today. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Sammy.
having us.
Yeah. Bye,
Bye,
guys. Take
Kimberly.
care.
Bye, Mark.